Welcome to Agape is Love, and thank you for joining us. We are a new evolving ministry, a unity community. Our outreach is a ministry of people for people, people who lovingly serve others in outreach to educate, promote, and provide opportunities for spiritual and community development. We are excited to share this edition of our service with you. Please leave us comments, like, share, and spread the word. Hi, and thanks for joining me. It's Becky. Why do hurt people when we know there's a way to heal? In her book, Dr. Sandra Wilson, book entitled Hurt People, Hope and Healing for Yourself in Relationships, she explains the psychology around this. She says, hurt people hurt others because they've been hurt themselves. Each one of us has been hurt to one degree or another. As the damage causes us to become defensive and self-protective, we may lash out at others. Hurting then becomes a vicious cycle. So for us, the question then becomes, how do we break this cycle and heal ourselves, our families, and our world? I want to start by saying that I don't believe that all people that are hurt other people. I just feel that there's a larger portion of people that have already been hurt that do lash out, as the psychologist says. Let me begin this by telling you a story briefly from the Bible. It is my summary of Genesis 37 through 50, the story of Joseph. Joseph was one of Jacob's sons, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And he was Jacob's favorite. Jacob loved his wife, Rachel. They had 2 sons together, but Joseph was the 11th of the 12 sons. So I'll start with the story of Joseph. Now, Joseph was Jacob's 11th of 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. This is from the book of Genesis, chapters 37 through 50. And the summary goes like this. Joseph was favored by his father. He really loved him. He could see the Christ light, I believe, in his son. And his son had very many talents. One of them was dream interpretation. One night, Jacob has a dream. He has a dream that his brothers bow down to him. His brothers were very envious of him, didn't like that their father doted all over Joseph. And when Joseph came to them and told them about the dream, they became enraged. They needed to get rid of Joseph. So they tried different things. Eventually, they sold him into slavery, and he left for Egypt. As he is a slave in Egypt, they find out that he does interpret dreams indeed. So Potiphar, which was the captain of the Pharaoh's army, is very interested in Joseph. He brings him into his home, has him start interpreting dreams for him, and really has this close relationship because he lavishes on him just like his father did. He's like his right-hand man inside the city. And Joseph felt very good for being a slave in Egypt. He was treated very well. Potiphar's wife started to notice and admire and desire Joseph. And when she made a pass at Joseph and Joseph wouldn't go along with it, she then accused him of trying to do something with her, and Potiphar had him arrested and jailed again. Here he was, once again, back in a hole, not knowing why he was up and down in all of his life. Can you see the roller coaster that he'd been through by now? It's amazing, but he keeps interpreting dreams. And eventually, the Pharaoh has a dream that he thinks that Joseph can interpret. And he does. Joseph goes and tells the Pharaoh about the famine that is coming. And they start to work together to find ways to prepare for the famine that's coming. All along, Joseph's brothers were acting as if they didn't know what had happened to Joseph. And Jacob was very sad and becoming very ill. And he missed his son that he loved. So as the famine was coming, Jacob and the sons, went to Egypt to find out about the famine, to get some grain from the Pharaoh. And when they did this, they came across Joseph. And at this time, he was back in the lavish life that he had had before. So what had happened here? Joseph's life was a roller coaster, and it was outside of any of his own doing. He didn't bring this on himself. He didn't bring this pain, this envy, this hurt into his life. Just like us. What about us? We didn't bring pain or envy or hurt into our lives on purpose. And we can't erase the past. We can't go back. Joseph couldn't go back. And we don't want to relive it because that just keeps dragging us through it. Like Joseph, we want to learn from it. What can we do? Joseph broke that cycle because he knew the truth. In Genesis 50:20, it says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." He said this to his brothers. He let them know that he had forgiven them long ago because God all along was in it. All Joseph did was the next right thing. And he himself is a great example of healing the generational cycle of hurting people that hurt others. Yadba Burr, the author of The Power of Kabbalah, says this in his book: hurt people. That's how pain patterns get passed on, generation after generation after generation. He encourages us to meet anger with sympathy, contempt with passion, cruelty with kindness, and greet grimaces with smiles. Forgive and forget about finding fault. Love is the weapon of the future. I actually really love that. Love is a weapon of the future. Well, I have a few personal experiences in the realm of pain in history. I've shared several times in different talks that my childhood was very shattered, dysfunctional, as I would say at best. I overcame many different ways of being hurt by many different people. Only when I was a child, I took the hurt inside. Looking back, I didn't lash out, but I did take it in. Once I began to connect to spirit, to understand that there was something greater than myself out there in the world, and this was about the time I found unity and recovery, I realized that there were ways to heal and to not hurt myself as well. I didn't act out, however, I was acting in. And on my healing journey, I have worked with dozens of souls who hurt others or themselves as a result of past trauma. I understand now that love is powerful and healing is possible. Joseph knew with every cell of his body, his mortal father and his heavenly father loved him. In turn, he loved openly and willingly, even those who inflicted pain on him. I believe Joseph's life was a living example of 1 Corinthians 13:13. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. In a book called Love Powered Living, Love Bridges the Gap, Reverend Winfred Hassman, from the co-minister of the Unity Center Church in Cleveland Heights, says this: there is a law operating in the universe, and under this universal law, each person's thoughts and actions determine what will have in his life. This is God's business, the vengeance and the reward. Love is your business. Taking love into the world and being love in action is what we are called to do, to be love. As spiritual seekers, we can lean into that and be who we're meant to be, with spirit, through spirit, as Joseph did. In Beyond Prayer, Emmett Fox says this: there is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer, no disease that enough love will not heal, no door that enough love will not open. No matter how deeply seated may be the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, a realization of love will dissolve it all. Love is the weapon of the future. Love is the weapon of the now. Where in your life are you being called to love above all else? Where can you step into love? And what might that look like in your life? How will it feel when you are able to be love? If it seems too big, just begin where you are, in your circle of control, 3 feet around you. I read a book years ago by Bob Goff that says, just start changing what's right in your circle of control. Anything that's 3 feet around you. Love more in the next 3 feet. If you're standing in a grocery line, love more in the next 3 feet. If you're at home, if you're at school, if you're at work, wherever we are, we can love in that circle. Let's start there. Imagine a world filled with people who lean into love. Love is the first response to any condition in our lives. Now, be love in the world.
You can help support our mission. Use the QR codes below, one PayPal and one Venmo. Your support is greatly appreciated. Agape is Love is a unity community ministry of the people for the people. We lovingly serve others in outreach to educate, promote, and provide opportunities for spiritual and community development in and through our connections to each other and Christ. This video was created by Becky Rokel, Director of Agape is Love. Contact information is becky@rokel.us. You can be reached by text or call 760-440-8640 or view our website at www.agapeislove.org. Thank you for joining us.